Welcome to Beyond the Quit. I am your host, IFBB Pro Pete Hagebuck. I have the pleasure of introducing Ryan Brake. Ryan, how you doing, man?
We're doing wonderful. Happy to be here.
Um, I like to start off this podcast asking, what's one moment in your life that you wanted to quit but you didn't?
I think that's a wonderful question. Um, there's many moments in my life that I've thought about giving up, but one of the things that comes to mind is when I think back to my career and when I was just kind of getting really started in my career. I was already a parent, and I thought I was in the career that I was going to be in, and that up and ended, without warning. And I found myself a new parent and without a job and looking for a new way in life. And it that gets to you at some point, and you kind of feel like giving up, but you have to press on, and that's what I did. And I entered a new career path that I've been with for nearly 15 years now, and I love it to death. So I didn't give up.
Awesome. I love hearing that. It's going to be a wonderful conversation. Again, Ryan, I appreciate you joining, man. This is all about you. I want my guests to feel comfortable, but I want the audience to really get to know you and hopefully grab something out of what you have to say today that they can use in their everyday living to help them continue to press on. So, without further ado, so you're a proud father, three kids. Let the audience know how you're involved and how does you being a father shape your health, your discipline, and living with purpose?
Yeah. So my goal as a parent is to give my children the absolute best start in their life while also giving them the greatest experiences. So I make sure that I'm involved in every step of the way, whether it be from the times we go camping, we take our camper out, we go out in the wilderness, we ride ATVs, we go kayaking, we go fishing. I've also done things such as, coach the little league baseball team. I ran the Cub Scout pack. I've just been involved every step of the way, and really my goal is for them when they get older is to look back and say, "You know what? I had a dad that loved me and I had a great life."
Sure, they already say that. How old are your kids?
My oldest is 15 and I have a 13-year-old and another 13-year-old. So, two 13s and a 15.
I remember those days. Mine are older, obviously, but definitely remember those days. So you brought up a lot of activities. How does that help shape you mentally? You said ATV, camping, things like that. Does that shape you a certain way? Can you kind of elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, so I think every single one of us gets caught up in the hustle bustle of life. We start getting in our routines. We start doing the same thing every day. We get home from work. We want to sit and we want to watch the TV. I think getting out in nature is really what kind of gives me my reset. Getting out there, seeing the world, breathing in the fresh air, seeing places I haven't seen, and really connecting with nature. It's become my happy place, and that's really where I've gone to relax.
So you do that year round, or are you more seasonal with it? Because it's cold here in Michigan. So
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the snow. I got to be honest with you. So in the winter time, I kind of lock down a little bit. Try and do my down south traveling then. But uh, during the spring, summer, and fall, you'll hardly ever catch me indoors.
that's awesome that you share that experience with kids. Did you say that you did this when you were younger, or is this kind of something that evolved as you aged?
I grew up in the Boy Scouts of America. I started when I was in the first grade. I went all the way through, all the way up to the Eagle Scout level, and that really kind of gave me my love for the outdoors. So as I grew older, as I grew into an adult, I just started getting into more and more things in the outdoors because I found that that's where I was the happiest.
Oh, your kids involved with Cub Scouts?
Yes, so they went all the way through the Cub Scout level. It was their choice. They didn't want to continue once they passed the Cub Scout level. And that's great, that's wonderful, but they took those same principles, and we use that in our daily family life, and we go out and we do all the same things that we did in Cub Scouts.
I mean, you're also involved in with special needs. Can you let the audience know what
Yeah,
involvement you're in with that?
yeah. My youngest son, he is nonverbal ASD, and we try to do a lot of different activities with him. One of the things that he does is he does baseball. He also does ice skating. I am a coach for his baseball team. It's a team of all special needs children. We have a great time. We love getting these kids out there and showing them how to play baseball and letting them have fun. On the other side of it, he's also into ice skating now, and we're looking at a possible Special Olympics run. So
So ice skating, I can't even roller skate. And you're talking about ice skating. You ice skate also?
uh, I get out there. I wouldn't say I ice skate.
Good for you. That's a lot of activities, but yet you still at least try to find time for yourself, specifically your health. How you balance that? How does that work for you? What kind of obstacles do you run across when you're a parent, your father, you work in, corporate America as well as trying to better yourself. How does that work for you?
So there's a lot of downtime, without the kids when they're at school, when they're, doing other things where I have time to focus on my health and kind of reset. But, when we're with the kids and we're doing activities, there's there's a lot of what I do in my alone time that I bring in to my family activities. So, there's a lot of different things that you can do. So if we go out and we go get hamburgers somewhere, you have to be disciplined enough to still enjoy that time with the family, still enjoy the things that you're doing, but know that you have to cut back. So, maybe don't get the onion rings with the burger, maybe not lather it in ketchup, things like that, things that you can do while still enjoying the family time and still having all of those good activities, but still maintaining your health in the process.
Seems like you prioritize your family experiences for sure. Adding the experiences with your kids and making sure that they experience things that you experience and letting them make their own decisions. Like you said, they were involved in Cub Scouts, but they made their own decision to say, you know what, I enjoyed it, but I want to kind of move on to something else. So, how
Mhm.
did that life and life in general help you become a better father? If it
Mm.
did,
Yeah. Yeah, and I think kind of where you're leading to and where I want to go with this is uh, I want to make sure that I'm being the type of parent that is setting the example and setting them on a good path. I can't sit here and tell you that I've always been on a perfect path myself. I will never say that. But the pathway that I have taken, the path I've chosen now, I'm hoping that they are following the lead and I've set a good example. And so when they do come across these decisions in life that they need to make, they can make them in confidence knowing that I will be there to back them up.
that's great. How's that going? How is there obstacles with it? It's something new you're bringing on to the kids. Any positives or negatives you want to share?
Yeah, so with my health journey that I've undertaken, for them it was a little bit of adjustment, not seeing Dad do some of the things. Halloween is one of my favorite holidays in the world, and my kids know that in the past they would always dig out some of my favorite candies and bring them to me as a dad tax. But starting this year, they understood that, hey, dad's not taking the taxes this year. You guys get your full spread, and they've really taken a good look to it. Some of the things that I cook, they don't always like when it's looks too healthy, but they're kids. What are you going to do? So they add their ranch and they keep going, but they understand that, hey, dad's doing this, we're doing this, but we're doing it together.
Sounds like you're making your health a priority. Obviously, your family a priority, but your health is something important also. And just kind of segueing, you've been on a weight loss journey for years, longer than I've known you, obviously. But what kind of clicked for you to make you feel like, you know what, this is the time that I need to kind of move forward with this?
Well, like you said, I've been on, weight loss journey for a very long time, and for a long time I was doing it to fit in, or I wanted to look good in a swimsuit, or I wanted to just kind of feel normal. And what clicked for me honestly was none of that actually matters. What I want is, as my kids are getting older now and I'm seeing it in real time, um, I want to be there for the big moments in their life. I want to be there when my kids get married. I want to be a grandfather. I want to be at all those functions. I want to be able to go see the world without being in a rascal scooter. These are the things that I want to do in my life. So none of that matters. So next summer, beach body, none of that matters to me. What matters is the future. So we have to start thinking of longevity.
That's great, man. But again, you've been a father for a long time. Um, what made you switch to that? I mean, I feel like, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you felt that way previously, but something really clicked with you to make you like, really headstrong with this process.
Yeah. So my oldest is in high school now, and we were discussing his future as he goes to exit high school here in a couple years, and we were looking at different career paths for him. And,
Hmm.
and as I'm sitting there, and I don't feel my age. I don't feel like I've gotten this old. I don't feel like my kids are this old. As I sat there and went through like different schools and pathways with him, I realized where I was in my life, and if I wanted to be able to keep doing these sorts of things with him and be able to experience this life with him, I was going to have to make a change, and I was going to have to do it for myself this time.
And how's it been going so far?
It's been going great. It's had its ups and downs, of course, with any kind of journey. But I can proudly say I'm at 52 pounds down right now. I'm feeling better than I ever have right now, and uh, it's a slower process than things that I've done in the past. But I'm doing things the correct way this time, and it feels great to do it this way.
Slow and steady is always the best way to go. And you know that. I think you see that as well. And you've had the holidays, you've had, your busy life, whether work wise or home life, and you still made it a priority. You're down, would you say 52 pounds?
52, yes, sir.
Wow. What's been the hardest part about staying consistent?
The sweets. Like I said, I'm a Halloween junkie. I love the candy aspect. Now, Thanksgiving's another favorite holiday of mine because of the food. Um, you know, Looking at the pumpkin pie and realizing, hey, you don't need to just run away with this with a fork. It's the holidays are always tough, because yeah, the rest of the year I can throw a piece of chicken on the grill and I'm just very happy with it. You don't have yourself surrounded by all that.
Is there anything, and I like that. I like that it sounds like it's more of a mindset for you that just clicked. But is there something you can share with the audience that helped you curb some of those cravings?
Yeah. So when I start having these cravings, and I've struggled with food addiction most of my life. When I start having these food cravings, I stop and I kind of meditate and I think about why I'm doing this. What's going to be the end goal, and where I'm gonna if I have this right now, where's that? How far is that going to set me back? And that's usually what kind of snaps me out of it is when I start thinking about all these times in the past few months that I've stepped on the scale and just had the biggest smile on my face. Is
Mhm.
that piece of pie really going to put that smile on my face? No, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to do a little happy food dance and I'm going to move on with my day. It's not going to give me that joy in the long run.
That sounds like an emotional piece, right? You're talking about meditation. You're talking about something that works for you. But anytime you set a short term or long term goal, from my experience and experience of people that I've trained, it's emotional, right? Because it's their goal. They can tell me what they want to do, but it's what there's a reason why they selected that goal. What can you tell me how the emotion piece is tied to this journey that you're on?
So, yeah, my life, I've always been a bigger guy. And you start when you're a bigger person, you start looking at things you can't shop at normal stores. Simple things like for me, I'm a big camper. Simple things like buying a camping chair. I had to look for one that was a higher weight capacity, nice and big and thick. You get a regular cheap camping chair like most people do, you're going to fall down to the ground. It's going to be embarrassing. And you're not going to have a chair anymore. So looking back at some of these things and being able to now shop at a regular store and get a t-shirt from just anywhere, or being able to walk into a Walmart and buy the first camping chair you see without having to look at the tag and see if your weight is too much for it. Um, I'm hitting that point now, and it's a great feeling to not have to do those sorts of things.
What does that do for you? Like your morale and like confidence, and does that just keeps you going? Does that just push you each and every day? Because you're human, right? You have good and bad days. We all do. Does that like gives you that little extra piece that says, okay, I can do it another day, another day?
Every little bit of it keeps me pushing on. So when I've set my goals, I have an end goal that I want. This is my journey. This is where my journey kind of slows down because the journey is never going to be over. But alongside that big journey, I've taken pieces of it. I have a halfway point that's my next big goal, but I've taken my weight loss portion into 10-pound increments. So my goal right now is to hit the next 10 pounds, and when I hit that, I say, all right, we've started the next 10. That's not my end goal, is to lose the next 10 pounds, but that's the next step. So I've taken everything that I've been doing and taking it in steps and breaking it off. That way these are more obtainable goals, so if I do have a bad day, and we're all guilty of it, it's not going to set me back for my whole journey.
I think that is probably the most important piece you said so far. If you have a day where you fell off or you're not as consistent, that's just 24 hours, right? You have another 24 hours to make it right. And I think that's why you're down 52 pounds. Because yeah, you might have had those days, but look what you've been doing. That's consistency. That's pretty strong. So self-belief, how does that play in your ability to stay consistent? Believing in yourself.
I didn't always believe in myself, and that was part of where my journeys never worked before. I struggled kind of going up and down because I didn't believe in myself. I would see the scale, I would be super happy, and I'd say, you know what? Let's have a little celebration day. I didn't believe that I could keep going. I didn't believe that I would ever meet those big goals. And it wasn't until I had to refocus everything that I was doing and started taking these steps and realizing, following these steps and staying committed, I started believing in myself. And that's really what it's been, is once you believe in yourself and you stick with the program that you put yourself on, you can do anything.
Wow. That's absolutely true. You bring up that your kids kind of help motivate you. They're in high school, or your oldest is in high school, and you want to be able to just be around, right? Be there. Um, but speaking of you, and you said your weight loss journey has been a lifetime. So one thing you do today that you didn't do back in the day when you started your journey. What can you give me one thing that helped prompt you and push you today that back before when you said, "Hey, I want to lose some weight," that's helping you stay consistent and helping you stay on task?
It's really been about self accountability. So, I like talking to other people, and there's a couple people that I talk to in my life that I talk to about certain things, about the weight loss and where I'm at, my diet, and and I definitely get a lot of different sources that I talk to, but at the end of the day, none of those people are with me when I'm putting the fork on the plate. None of those people are with me when I'm cooking the food. It has to come from within. You have to believe in what you are doing, and you're doing it for a purpose. And you have to, if you have a bad day, like we were just talking about, you have to reflect on that day. So if I have something that maybe shouldn't have had, I have to reflect on that and start the next day and make sure that I'm continuing down the right path.
Wow. How's the future look like for you, Ryan? 5, 10, 15 years from now, what's the why? Like, what's the why that's going to keep you moving forward? If you want to look that far down, right? Let's start with 5 years.
5 years from now, my goal is to be absolutely at my goal weight. Um, but that's not where my journey's ending. That's I believe that, you know, this newfound health that I have and the health that I'm going for, this is a lifelong journey. This is something that I'm never going to quit doing. I believe in myself. I believe in how I feel. I believe in the program that I've kind of developed inside for myself.
We all set long-term goals. It sounds very clear, right? You want to be at your goal weight, but you said that your journey doesn't stop there. I think that's a strong statement. Um, you think your kids are watching you? And of course, they see you right daily, but are they really watching your journey?
I would believe so. Absolutely hope so, but I do believe so because they're starting to see some of the different changes that I've made in my life, and some of the things that I've changed. that they've kind of started rolling and changing with too. When it comes to the way certain things we eat, we've changed our diet some like that. Originally it was just kind of me doing it, and then they started kind of eating the same way I do. We started going on some hikes this summer, where they really didn't care for hiking too much before. We started hiking right in the beginning of fall, and now they're wanting to do those sorts of things with me. And I'm so excited that I get to share my journey with them because my journey is for them and for myself.
So that sounds like it motivates you, right? But does that pressure you also to stay on
Oh,
point?
absolutely. If I fall off, and they still want to do these things, it might cause them to fall off, or I might disappoint them, or anything of the sort. But I got to keep going because they want me to keep going, and I want me to keep going.
So life gets busy, kids, work, everything. What's your internal dialogue? What do you say to yourself to keep moving?
When I look at certain things, if we're out and when it comes time to eat lunch or eat dinner or something like that, if there's not options that would normally fit within the diet that I've set for myself, I create those options. There's been times where we've had to get fast food because we're out there.
Mm.
So there's certain things that you can do, you know when you have to get something like fast food. There's certain things that you can do to force that to be in your diet. If you get, a lot of places offer like a grilled chicken sandwich, you can get rid of all the condiments on it, you can get rid of the bun, you can do sorts of things, and you can watch what you do. You don't have to get a soda, you can get water, you can get iced tea. There's certain things that you can do to create that meal for yourself. Even if it's not ideal, you want to get as close as possible.
So before you committed this time, though, what were the excuses or beliefs that were holding you back before?
So I've struggled a lot with food addiction in my past, and that's really been one of the driving factors of why I haven't been successful before. Um, a lot of things bring that out: stress, anxiety, even joy. Get super excited. Hey, let's celebrate. Let's have a milkshake. Um, or if I'm sad, if I'm depressed, or if I have high anxiety, food was always a comforting thing to me. And what I had to do is I had to overcome the addiction for that by replacing that with the joy of the journey. And I've taken all the stuff, the joy that I used to get out of just eating things and enjoying every single delicious thing that I could have, and replacing that with the joy of seeing the movement on the scale, seeing the way my clothes fit, being more active and seeing how happy my kids are that, hey, look, dad can kayak this whole canal without even slowing down now. These are some of the things that I've replaced that with.
And that makes you feel good. And I think kids are observant, right? You know what I mean? They see how happy dad is or how maybe your attitude changed. You seem like a happy, great guy anyway, but I think the kids see that shift.
Yeah. I believe that they do, and they're coming right along on the journey with me, and I couldn't be happier about it.
Give me a piece of advice you would give somebody maybe listening to this on the journey that they haven't even started yet. Maybe they've started and stopped, just like most of us. But this time something's really triggering them that they say, you know what, I can't stop no more. But they just don't really have a path. What would you tell somebody? Some type of advice that you could give somebody today?
It is never too late to start your journey. I'm 39 years old. I wish I would have started this journey sooner, but you know what? I have never I've never felt better than I do right now about where I'm at in my journey. And the other piece of that to me is it's never too hard to give up. And no matter how hard it gets, no matter how hard you feel emotionally, tomorrow's gonna be a new day, and you're gonna continue.
Do you want to share what your goals are?
Yeah. So my goals, obviously, I want to be below the 250-pound weight line. I'm working towards that right now, and the silly reason I want to be below that is because when you start looking at things in life that are have weight limits, everything is either a 250-pound weight limit or up, and I don't
Mm.
ever want to have to worry about that.
So 52 pounds, you're headed towards that goal. And you've already spoken about how obstacles come your way. and what you use, whether mentally, physically, to help you curb some of those obstacles and keep on moving forward. And you have, three beautiful kids in front of you that um, that want dad around. And I respect you, man, in many ways, but definitely respect you that you are using your health and taking your health seriously so you can be there for yourself, for your family, for your kids, for all your goals.
I appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
So I definitely appreciate your time. I appreciate you just sharing that. A lot of people wouldn't share specific stories on this podcast, and I've been blessed enough that people have been opening up and feel comfortable enough to share things. What's something that you're proud of the most that people have no idea about?
So outside of my journey, and we touched on this a little bit at the beginning of the segment here, is I found myself, without a career at one point in my life, with no direction, and I found a home in the logistics and trucking world, and I turned it into a career that I absolutely adore, and I can't imagine myself doing anything else. Um, and I've made it up to a corporate level with no college education. So I'm surrounded by my peers that all have, degrees from very well respected schools, and I'm right there beside them, and it's because of my determination that I've been able to get to where I'm at today.
I think that shows in your own personal journey with the weight loss, obviously your career journey. I'm not surprised, right? You're headstrong. You set a goal, you shoot for it. I appreciate you sharing that, Ryan, and I hope people get something out of that. Don't worry about everybody else. You didn't, right? You ended up accomplishing your goals in terms of not having a degree, but you're one of the smartest guys I know, and obviously, other people see that. That's where you're at today. What's your next mountain you want to climb? You talked about the physical, you talked about goals in terms of what you want to accomplish that way, but how about mentally or in life in general? Anything you want to share?
Well, the way you worded that question, honestly, it's a little bit funny because in my travels with my job and everything like that, I get to experience the mountains a lot now, which I'd never seen before. And one of my goals now is I want to climb a mountain. I'm drawn to them. It's a part of nature that I have never experienced before. I've done just about everything else there is to do, and maybe even starting something simple with something small and a small hike. I don't know that I'll ever get to say Mount Everest in life, but
Right.
I do want to be able to hike to the top of a summit and look out and say, you know what, I did this.
How long have you had that goal?
So this is a goal that I've had for about a year now.
Mm.
And it was the first time that I actually saw the Rocky Mountains in person, and I was immediately drawn to them. I had to see them. Uh, I drove to the top of one, as far as I could, and I said, you know what, I can hike up one of these. I can do this.
Well, yeah, can't wait to see it and hear about it. So, if your kids listen to this one day, what message do you hope they take from it?
The message that I hope they take from it is, I believe in my heart that they know, how much I love them and how much I care for them. Um, but I want them to look back at this and say, Dad loved himself enough finally to start this journey, and he's with us now today because he made this choice.
Mm. Well said. Again, Ryan, I appreciate your time. I appreciate everything. Thank you for opening up. Uh, this is why I love doing this. Things I've learned about you and in terms of goals and personal, professional. Um, one more question I have for you. I love ending my podcast with this. What does beyond the quit mean to you?
Beyond the quit to me, it means believing in yourself no matter the circumstances and always pressing forward to get to your goals.
Hmm. Mic drop right there. Ryan Brake, thank you, man.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you.